Back in the book segment tonight, the fact or outrage of the week. You may have heard the name Robert Scheer. He's a radical left-wing newspaper columnist who hates President Bush. Mr. Scheer was fired by the liberal Los Angeles Times last year, some say, because of his far, far left views. Now Mr. Scheer has co-authored a book called The 5 Biggest Lies Bush Told Us About Iraq. Well, the book is now required reading in a class at Fordham University called Analysis of International Politics. Does that sound fair and balanced? With us now, Professor Bruce Andrews, who teaches that class. I'm looking at your reading list here in addition to the Scheer book. All of these books are pretty far left that you have on your reading curriculum. Would you not agree?
I would disagree with that.
Okay. Which book is fair and balanced or presents a pro-capitalist point of view?
A pro-capitalist point of view?
Yes, we live in a capitalist country. Which book on this reading list presents a pro-capitalist point of view?
The first half of this class is about how to explain individual countries' foreign policies. So it doesn't really even deal with the question of capitalism versus non-capitalist systems or pro-capitalist or not. So it's about explanation and it's about prescription. Things are going wrong, choices are made that people are unhappy with, and they're interested in a prescription.
Is there any reading list book in your class that is you could consider pro-American?
Pro-American?
Yeah. That means America's good.
This is not the focus of the class.
Okay. Obviously it isn't.
No,
because
it's not a normative class. It's not about values.
Let me define it.
It's about understanding.
Yeah, understanding your point of view.
No, understanding why the government behaves the way that they do.
In your opinion. One World, Ready or Not, the manic logic of global capitalism describes modern capitalism as frightening, destabilizing, and running out of control. Scheer's book is a hate Bush diatribe. And you yourself, I think, are a far-left guy. Am I wrong in describing you that way?
That's not relevant to this issue.
Sure it is. You're the instructor of the class. You shape the class.
What's the class about?
The class is about, seems to me, America's bad.
No, the class is about why do countries do what they do, and how do national leaders attempt to avoid having their behavior explained, and how they avoid
the 5 biggest lies Bush told us about Iraq. Come on.
Fabulous item pedagogically in getting students to understand the strategies that governments use to slip out from under a prescription.
I wouldn't mind that. If I were in your class, I wouldn't mind reading that book, but I'd like to read another book that balances it out.
Well, this book is an analysis of government strategy.
By a Bush hater.
No, but the point is you're presented with the strategy, you're presented with the rhetoric, you can see what it's designed to do. What it's designed to do is to either provide some justificatory discourse around the policy to increase support. But it's all one way.
You're feeding these kids 35 undergrads, and you had to do a grad. I don't care about the grads class as much. They ought to be done. You're feeding these guys a one-world view, and you know it's not right. You ought to have
one world. You mean like Wendell Willkie?
No, the one world is capitalism's bad, Bush is a liar, America's bad, Scheer is look, Scheer
is not the
Scheer
point.
Has no credibility.
That's not the point of the class.
Scheer doesn't have any credibility. Why would you use a book if you're an academic and you have been for 31 years? Why would you use a book by a guy who was fired by the LA Times for being irresponsible in his opinions? Why would you use a book like that?
Because I'm not using it as an embodiment of his opinions.
It's required reading.
No, but what is it designed to do in the classroom, which you don't have any sense of? It's not designed to convince people of a different opinion they might have about the war in Iraq.
Your opinion and Scheer's opinion are the same.
It's designed to help them think it through.
Your opinion and Scheer's opinion are the same.
Actually not.
Yeah.
What is Scheer's opinion about why the United States is in Iraq?
All right. Here's what one of your former students said, a guy named Bruce Andrews.
That's me. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I'm writing in a complaint about my own class.
You should. A former student said, the professor made everyone raise their hand if they had a family member who worked in the CIA, believed the U.S. government assassinated JFK, and in order to open up Cuba to capitalist exploitation. That's what they're... Is that true?
That's not... I teach another class.
Is that true?
I teach another class on the Kennedy assassination.
And you believe the CIA, the government ordered... Kennedy's assassination?
No, I don't.
All right.
But I also don't believe Lee Harvey Oswald did it.
All right.
So it's more complicated. It's more complicated.
It is, and I'm not in your class.
And context is crucial.
Put one book on here that isn't an anti-American book, and I wouldn't have any problem with it. But we appreciate you being a stand-up guy.
Well,
next, we'll wrap things up with the most ridiculous item of the